Hello, my name is Mia.
Have you ever heard of the cooling paradox? It says that the hotter the world gets, the more AC we use, and the more AC we use, the hotter the world gets. Hence the cooling paradox. Essentially, cooling the Earth is warming our planet. Having lived all my life in tropical hot places, I have come to appreciate a cool space. But is it really worth the cost? Did you know that roughly 10% of all the world's electricity is used by air conditioners? And ACs are responsible for about 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And cooling related greenhouse gas emissions are projected to double by 2030 and triple by 2050. Being surrounded by nature as a child and loving to tinker and make art has always motivated me to look for new ways to protect the environment. This curiosity led me to this project, where I explored natural cooling methods that also function as public art. Have you ever wandered through a park and come across a sculpture standing quietly in the middle? It might catch your eye, but what more? This project challenges the idea of public art, treating it as something functional, transforming it into something that goes beyond appearance, something that cools, interacts, and supports the environment around it, actively improving the space it occupies. What I want to make is natural evaporative cooling as functional art. Here's how it works. When water evaporates, the change from liquid to air requires energy. And the energy it absorbs comes from the heat in the surrounding air. So as the water molecules escape into the air, they take that heat with them, leaving the air behind cooler. Similarly to how sweat works or how you feel cooler by standing near a lake. However, my biggest setback was the climate here in Bali, since it's incredibly humid and high humidity makes evaporative cooling less effective, because when the air is already full of moisture, it can't absorb much more, which limits how much cooling can happen. This is also what all the research papers I read indicated, but since I found no tests in humid climates, I thought I would just try my own. The papers I found suggested that while evaporative cooling has limitations, combining it with systems like fans can improve performance even in humid climates, and it also highlighted a major gap in studies as most focused on dry arid climates and there's not much research in humid climates yet. Clearly more research needs to be done here. I started by creating 2 evaporative cooling system prototypes in Bali, testing my idea to see how they would work in humid climates and collecting lots of data. One with terracotta, which is extremely porous and helps the evaporation process, and one with bamboo, while a bit less porous, is readily available, grows fast, and is abundant, especially here in Bali. After 2 weeks of collecting data with temperature and humidity sensors, as well as with a sling wet bulb thermometer, I found that the evaporative coolers reduce temperatures by about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, even in Bali's far from ideal rainy, humid conditions. The first test round taught me a lot and helped me prepare for my larger scale installations. And then something super exciting happened. I got the chance to exhibit at the Serendipity Arts Festival, which is South Asia's largest annual multidisciplinary arts festival. This is the same festival I went to every year with my friends growing up, the one I'd always dreamed of being a part of. So I went to Goa, India, and created 4 large-scale functional art cooling installations, each standing 2.5 meters tall. The process of making these large-scale installations was tough, and I experienced a lot of setbacks and realized there was no way I could pull off such a large-scale project all by myself. So I partnered with my friend Lakshmi Das, who lives in the area, and collaborate with lots of local potters and welders to bring the project to life, documenting the entire process. I will continue a mini-series I made on my project Instagram and plan to also create a short documentary. Across the 9 days of the festival, the 4 cooling leaves were placed in a circle that surrounded a workshop area, where countless people visited every day and could feel the cool breeze. Lots of interested people inquired, and some even wanted their own. We sparked inspiring conversation about sustainability and climate change. Through the chaos of the festival, I tried my best to collect as much valuable data as possible, and found that it was able to drop by up to 7 degrees Celsius. As the festival came to a close, I partnered up with multiple venues across Goa, having the cooling installations exhibited at art galleries, cafes, and resorts. The next steps I want to take are analyzing the data I've collected, considering writing a research paper, and comparing bamboo versus terracotta, and the performance with and without fan assistance, as well as the effect it has in different climates. As well as making a documentary, as I mentioned before, and finishing my Instagram series, as well as making a website. This project is the beginning of a longer journey into climate responsive public art. By working with traditional materials, local knowledge, and environmental science, I want to keep exploring how we can incorporate functional art into daily life.